For this haircut, we're going to do a 1950 style pompadour. This needs to be a square shaped haircut, so we're going to do square layers across the top and on the sides. And what we're going to do to make this haircut really stand out, instead of leaving it too long on the sides, we're going to do a real close 1 to 2 finger fade or taper around the outline of the haircut. And if you take a look at his hairline in the back here, he has a low hairline, so we want to leave it as low and natural as we can. We're not going to taper it way up here. We're going to work with what he has. It grows from left to right, and we want to fade all this out. We're going to give him a nice neck shave to get rid of the beard on his neck. You know, and as we work our way around, again, the challenge with this haircut is it grows in a circle around his head and it grows straight forward. So we're going to have to leave some of the length here and condition it properly so we can get the hair going back. So most likely we're going to use the front length here as our guide, and then we're going to slowly cut it a little bit shorter towards the back, so the front is the longest part of the haircut. But with all that being said, the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and shampoo him and condition his hair before we start with the haircut. We're going to start on the top section. We've just finished shampooing and conditioning the customer's hair. So what we're going to do is, as I said, this is going to be a pompadour, so the hair needs to be long enough for the hair to brush back. The front has to be the longest portion of the haircut. So this is kind of the angle of the hair that we want. So to accomplish this, we're going to have to use an over direction technique, where we're going to over direct the front all the way to the back here when we start cutting. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to stand in the front. I'm going to comb through the front of the hair, and I'm going to over direct it all the way to the front of the ear. So if you can see, I'm lined up with the front of the ear, and I'm just going to take a little bit of hair off. What I want to do here is I want to just make sure that we have a square shape. I don't want to take too much hair off. The majority of the hair we're going to take off is going to be around the outline of the haircut or in the tapered area to make it really stand out. So I'm going to get my center guide. I'm going to comb the hair straight back down. I'm going to come from the front again, over direct it back to the same spot, to the front of the ear, and I can see my center guide. I'm using my scissor over fingers technique here instead of scissor over comb, making sure to take enough section so I don't leave any clipper marks, scissor marks, cut marks. Now I'm going to take one more section in the corner here, over directing to the ear and making sure my fingers are parallel to the floor. So any hair that falls out, we don't need to cut it, just what's in your fingers. I'm just taking that last section just to make sure there isn't any hair left. So I have two guides now. I have my center guide and I have my guide from the side. And then I want to make sure that I'm pulling the hair up on this cutting plane. So I'm not rounding my fingers down closer here. I want the hair to be the longest in the crown and the longest in the front. We don't want this hair standing up in the back. Okay, so now we're going to do the opposite side. Comb the hair all back down. Now I'm going to start on the opposite side, over directing the hair back again to the front of the ear. I can see my center guide and my fingers are parallel to the floor, and I'm not cutting past my second knuckle. Comb the hair forward again, and we're going to take one more section. Okay, we can see it right there. Center guide, guide from the side just below the round of the head. There's just that little bit of hair there. With men's hair cutting, whether you're doing a pompadour, a flat top, or just a business cut, extremely important that you understand the square-shaped haircut. This is the foundation for the majority of men's haircuts. Okay, so that's going to complete the top section for now, and then we're going to move on to the round of the head section and the sides and back sections. Okay, now we're going to move on to the sides and back and round of the head section. We need the weight of this hair to go back. This is going to be part of the top as we dry it back and style it into the pompadour, so we don't want to have too much of the weight taken out. So what I want to do is I'm going to comb the bangs out of the way, all this area here out of the way, and I just want to smooth out this area here. And when I say smooth it out, we're just going to do a little bit of light scissor and comb, not taking very much hair at all, and giving ourselves a guide for when we go into our clipper cutting around the edges to get that nice taper. So basically what I'm doing the same thing as if I was to pick the hair up at 90 degrees all the way around and cut it with scissor over fingers. The hair is just too short and it's difficult to pick up that way. It's much easier to use your scissor over comb technique. So this is what we're going to do. So I can see my guide. I'm cutting to my guide but not into my guide. And just because you're giving somebody a haircut doesn't mean you have to cut every hair on their head. So I'm just going through the motions with my comb, the shape that I want. And then if the hair is sticking out of the comb, I cut it. If not, I don't cut it. Don't go around searching for hair to cut. Now the most important part of these haircuts is that by the time we get to the outline of the haircut, everything else is all done, it's all blended. So we're not stressed out or concerned in any way about that part of the haircut. Everything you do correct the first time around makes the rest of the haircut that much easier. So you can see we're using a big white flat top comb. So that's allowing us to control a large amount of hair, and you can see it. You know, the white comb versus the dark hair. Okay, and then as we come towards the front, we're going to do the same thing. I want to comb those bangs right out of the way. I don't want to take any chances in cutting that hair. We need that to stand straight up and brush back on top. Okay, so now we've completed the top, the round of the head section, and the sides and back section. Now we're going to come in with our detachable blade clipper and our longest blade, and we're going to start scooping out a 2-finger taper around the outline of the haircut to really make this stand out. We're going to start out with our 3/8 blade, which is a 3.5 blade on our detachable blade clipper. I like the detachable blade clipper because it allows us to move through a lot of hair at one time, and it very easily avoids leaving weight lines or lines of demarcation. So with the clipper on, we snap our blade on, and I'm going to use a scooping motion around the 2-finger width around the outline of the haircut. This is the semi-finish area. So very slowly. And the key here is that I want to keep this very low because I want to leave myself another 1-finger width to blend it in, because we're going to have an extreme degree of graduation because we have a lot of hair on top. So when I say an extreme degree of graduation, from very short to very long very quickly. So 45-degree angle around the outline of the haircut. Now, and the reason why we use the scooping motion is because if you look at how long the blade is, if we get the blade completely on the side of the head, we're up way too high and we've blown the haircut. So we're just either going to use a scooping motion this way or a 45-degree angle coming around the outline of the ear. Okay, we're going to bend the head to the side slightly. And it's just a 2-finger width. So I don't want to take it straight up to here. I want to bevel it right down with the shape of the head. So very slowly, and that clipper is cutting as you're pulling away from the head. And as you can see, this straight line on the back of his neck is going to slowly disappear as we taper it out. And each lower blade is going to erase it 1 blade at a time. So back to our 45-degree angle, 2-finger width around the outline of the haircut. Then back to our scooping motion. And over the sideburns. And just through the temple area. So that was our 3/8 blade. Next we're going to go to a quarter-inch blade, which is a number 2 blade on the detachable blade clipper system. The detachable blades are universal. Plastic attachments, all different brands have different numbers. The metal blades are universal. So now we're going to do the same thing and work our way back. Just not go as high. So that same scooping motion, same 45-degree angle. And as you can see, with each shorter blade, it's tapering out that hairline. We're erasing that straight line that was previously there on the back of the neck. Now when the hair grows straight up in the air like that, we're going to turn the clipper upside down so the clipper is still working properly and go straight down. Okay, and then working through to the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Now it's time to blend it all in. We're going to go to the 1.5 blade on the detachable blade clipper. So we're going to do the same thing again, one step lower, but while we have this blade on here, we're also going to start blending in to the sides and back. Now we're going to take our clipper comb, and we have to make sure that we have an extreme angle and follow that angle, because we don't want to cut into this sides and back area. We just want to blend out around the edges. So that's going to comb back in there nicely. So there's very minimal blending to do when you use a detachable blade clipper. Okay, and as we work our way around, I'm using the tips of the teeth on the comb, and that's cutting and blending at the same time. If you want to take a little bit more, you can push the heel of the blade more to the comb. Okay, and we're still scooping it out at the bottom, further erasing that line that was on the back of his neck. And then after we do that, we're going to come across and do a little blending. Now I really like this thin clipper comb, because this 1.5 blade on top of this thin clipper comb is the next size up than our 3.5 blade, which is the first blade we started with. So by putting the blade on the comb, we can go in and taper it out without leaving a line. It's not going to let us get too close to the scalp. And we're going to continue this all the way around. So we're going to further our blend, making sure we're using that same scooping motion with the comb as we use with our clipper. This is not a straight up and down motion, it's the scooping motion with the comb. Okay, I'm going to work on this taper here. And you can see, if you look real closely, when you comb it back, you can see all the different lengths without any line of demarcation. And we're going to take that 45-degree angle straight through the temple area. Okay, and then after we finish up with our large clipper, we're going to move down to a smaller comb and our adjustable clipper. Adjustable clipper being a clipper with the blade, you can adjust the lever so you can play with the different lengths. So we can start out longer and move closer without having to switch blades on and off. So we're going to start out with an open position over the bottom of the sideburns and through the temple area. Pull the ear down and get as much of that as you can. We're going to get the rest of it with the trimmer when we come back with the trimmer. 45-degree angle. And if you can see, you're just using the first 3 or 4 cutting teeth. And when you pull the ear down, you're pulling that hair out just a little bit so you can get it easier. Keeping the hair combed in the direction the way it goes. Just want to slightly taper out the outline. Don't round it in. We want to leave a nice square outline with the taper at the bottom. And then as we work our way through here, we're going to start to further erase that line you had. Using the scooping motion. I'm going to close it halfway down. We're going to close it all the way down. All right, and we're going to keep working our way across. And we're going to open the clipper back up. It's actually when the hair on this side is growing straight up in the air, so we're going to take the clipper upside down. Then we're going to close it halfway in between. Close it down all the way. And then we're going to come around the outline of the ear. And take it through the temple area. Before I finish off the outline of the haircut with the trimmer, I want to go through the semi-finish area one more time with my tapering shears. What I want to do is just go through this transition area and just soften up the blend just a little bit. After you've gone through all your clippers and you still see like a little bit of a weight line, you can just go through here and soften it up just a touch. Just important, you just stay in this little bit of an area, this 2-finger width here. You don't want to get into here. We need the thickness there for when we dry it up and back. Just going to quickly take this step all the way around. You want to make sure that you move the comb fast. You don't want to leave it in the same spot because you'll cut length. We don't want to cut any length. So it's that same angle that we've been following all the way around with our scissor over comb or clipper over comb. Kind of more a scooping motion. Okay, and that should do the trick. Just softens that up a little bit. Now we're going to grab our trimmer. I like to use a T-blade where the blades of the teeth come out farther than the case, so it allows us to get in around the ears easier. So I pull the ear down, and I just take the back corner of that clipper and just clean up a few of those. And we just want it slightly off the ear. We don't want a big arcing white wall going all the way around the ear, just a little bit off the ear. And with haircuts such as these, we go with a natural hairline versus edging it off or outlining off. We just taper it and we leave it alone. Now behind the ear, we see a nice outline here, a nice taper. We don't want to cut it off, so we're going to hang out here and just give a nice diagonal line and shave to it so we don't cut off the taper. Just like that. So you see a nice straight diagonal line. And then as we get to the back, we're going to stay well below it. We don't want to get anywhere near that taper. Now as you can see, his hairline is low. He has a low natural taper. This isn't the kind of haircut that we really get in there and dig in there with our real close blades and scoop it out real high. This is more of a classic, 40s, 50s, 60s haircut where the hairlines are low and left natural. Now same thing on this side. The hair is all growing towards the center, so the only thing we can do is make a line and shave to it and leave it alone. You'll see that nice diagonal. I'm going to pull the ear down and look for any hair popping out behind the ear. Okay, now the finish is complete, and the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to use a moisturizing shaving cream, and we're going to edge off his sideburns and get a sharper line on the back of his neck. So we're just going to apply the moisturizing shaving cream right on those few areas there where the beard is really heavy. This is definitely good for an extra 3 to 5 days out of the haircut, depending on the thickness of the beard. But just as with, shorter clipper lengths, you always drop the clipper blade down a little bit lower for the fading effect. It's the same thing with the straight edge. We can't get too close. We can't get too close to here with the straight edge because you're going to leave a line in the taper. So always wipe your hands off before you touch a razor. You don't want your hands slipping off the razor. So we're going to start here on the left-hand side. I'm going to grip the scalp and stretch the skin. Do the same thing in the back with your backhand stroke. Stretching the skin. Don't let your finger stretching the skin get too far away from the blade. Okay. And slowly rotate the customer towards you. Wipe off the shaving cream so you make sure that you feel for any razor bumps or pimples or moles. Really stretch out that skin good. The nice thing about a good moisturizing shaving cream like this, it's also an aftershave lotion, so you can just rub it right into the skin when you're done. Okay, as we come along the other side, Stretch that skin, go right along that nice line you made with your trimmer. Okay, then we're going to gently blot the shaving cream off, not rub. You don't want to irritate the skin. That completes the shave, and then we're going to move on to styling his hair next. For the style portion of the haircut, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a light cream in his hair, and then we're going to dry it. The comb and the brush and the dryer all move in the same direction. We're going to dry it all the way up and to the back in this direction, and then in the front we're going to dry it straight up and pull it down to create some lift in the front to give it that pomp effect. So the first thing I want to do is we want to use a nice light styling cream, nothing too heavy for the dryer to go through. And then after we get the shape we want, we'll put a heavier product in there and then leave it that way. Okay, so that's the first step, is to get that light cream in there. And then a dryer with a vent brush and a nozzle works best, so you can direct the heat. We use a warm heat instead of a super high heat, and I'm going to use the low setting. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a light styling wax just to give it a little bit of the wet look. Okay, you're going to rub it in through your hands really good. Really get it in through those sides and in through the top. And then you could either use your fingers or you could go back in through with the vent brush. What I think we're going to do for this haircut is we're going to leave the top just with the finger styling, and then I'm going to go through the sides with the vent brush. Now the style is complete. We're going to give you the quick 360 view.